Now, Mika is joining us on the phone today. She says that she was disgusted when she found out that her 16-year-old daughter was claiming to be bisexual. Mika believes it's a fad, like a pair of shoes. So I want to talk about that. Mika, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, listen, thanks for talking about this, and I'm glad you are, because you're having a really painful response to this, true?
Yeah, I am.
So what have you said to yourself about it? You wrote me a long, long letter about this. Tell me what you're saying to yourself about this.
Well, I'm really believing that she's confused and she's just following the crowd. She's not being true to herself, but just trying to fit in. And I have a lot of bad feelings about it. And she wasn't really talkative about it. She kind of had an attitude about it at first, like, well, it is what it is. We went to counseling. The counselor talked to her for 10 minutes and said, oh, I think your daughter's a bisexual. And I just have a problem with that. She doesn't know my daughter. She doesn't know anything about her. And I don't know if you can really say that somebody is that in 10 minutes of speaking to them. She's smart enough to know what to say to the counselor because she knew that where we were going and what we were going for. So my pain just comes behind all the baggage that she has to carry. And I mean, even us saying that we would do this show, she doesn't want to do it. She doesn't want any part of it. She's like, oh, I don't have a problem now. Well, what is the real problem? And that's what I need answers for.
What I'm really concerned about is that let's assume that it is true.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You're pushing her away. You're relating to her in disgust. You're telling her that you want to pull away from her and be apart from her is not a good place to be. I mean, you recognize that, right?
No, I totally recognize that. That's why I wanted to go to counseling, but that didn't help.
Okay, well, no, it may not have helped by your definition of what you call help, which is to tell her that this isn't true. And again, I'm not saying it is or it isn't because I don't know, but here's what I do know, is that kids that are gay tend to have a 4 times higher rate of suicide than the general population.
Right.
Kids,
I recognize and understand that.
Okay, kids that are gay and alienated, rejected by their family, have a 9 times higher rate of suicide than the general population.
Right.
You add to that a friend who has already modeled that behavior of making an attempted suicide, and I take that very, very seriously and would say rather than focusing on what you want the truth to be, you need to try to find out what the truth is and then really focus on educating yourself about it in the interim. One of the first things I always hear parents talk about when they get this kind of message from their child is they feel guilty. Like, what have I done wrong? I didn't socialize my child right. I didn't feminize my daughter or masculinize my son. And so I've failed as a parent. And let me tell you, there's not one study I've ever seen anywhere that suggests that this myth of a dominant mother and a weak father creates a gay boy. And all of those things that you hear talked about, there's just no basis for that. And so you having a guilt reaction would be the last thing I'd want you to do. What I would want you to do is say, okay, I'm going to educate myself about this so I can have an intelligent discussion, but at no time do you want to give your daughter the message that she's not okay with you.
Right, and that's what I'm trying to work on.
Denise is a clinical social worker that's also a board of directors of the American Institute of Bisexuality. She works with GLAAD and has been giving us some insights on these issues. Help me out here. How am I doing?
You're doing great, Phil. I mean, absolutely. Keeping the lines of communication open with your daughter and being willing to go to therapy with her and calling in, those are wonderful things. And I think, I really want to validate you for pursuing that.
Thank you.
But, part of the problem is, let me ask you something. If she were a lesbian, would that be more okay?
I don't know, maybe. I don't know. I mean, even in the letter, I mean, I work with people who are lesbians and gay, and I get along fine with them. They come over, they can spend the night. I don't believe that I have a problem like that. I think my problem is more with her really knowing who she is, and I really feel like she doesn't.
Jane, that's what kept you from coming out. This kind of judgment and fears, what kept you from coming out, right?
This is a perfect example of why people don't come out. I have compassion for this mom, but what I'm hearing, and I hate to be rude, is homophobia. Anytime I hear somebody say that a lot of my best friends are whatever, I say,
I didn't say that my best friends are.
okay, a lot of my
just
friends
said
are.
I know people who are.
Sure.
And I don't have a phobia, and I'll openly admit that. It's not that. This is my child.
You said that you have kicked her out of the house, that
I did.
you've responded with disgust and felt like vomiting when you hear this. I understand the anxiety of being a parent, but at no time do you want to cut off the lines of communication here.